Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, thanks for stopping by. If you're coming back, welcome back. I really appreciate the patronage. Uh, do not forget to vote. This is a message for my fellow Americans. People, our freedom is on the ballot. You may think that's hyperbolic, but I guarantee you it is not. Anybody who knows anything about politics in the US right now knows I am not being hyperbolic. So please get out and vote. Vote, vote, vote. Vote like your life depends on it, because it very well might. That's how important this midterm election is. If we want to keep our freedom, we need to vote. Okay. And with that said, that little PSA out of the way, we'll get on with the topic of today's Atheist Church, which is if Torah is so important. And remember, Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That would be in the Christian Bible. Not quite sure how it would be in Tanakh. Not sure, order-wise what it would be in Tanakh, but that's what it would be in the Christian Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That's the Torah. Tanakh is the entire Jewish scriptures. Okay. Just wanted to get that through, just in case anybody needed a little bit of, reminding on that. All right. So, again, we are going to Let's Get Biblical by Rabbi Tovia Singer. This guy is one of my favorite guys. And I read a lot of religious texts. I don't just read rabbis. I don't just read Christian people. I read Buddhist and Hindu, and I read a lot of stuff, okay? I just read a lot of stuff when it comes to religion. And that's probably why I'm a bit open-minded than other people. That's probably why I've been more open-minded than other people, even when I was growing up. Probably another reason I was a little more open-minded when I was growing up is because I was a military brat and we moved around. So, it wasn't, I didn't always live in the echo chamber called the South of the United States, and that's probably important to developing an open mind, is, not living in an echo chamber. Anyway, moving on. So we're going to start with the section that he titles "The Oral Law is Vital to Exegesis of the Christian Bible." Hang on. I think I need, you can tell you're getting old when you think you need bifocals. Okay, he talks about preparing himself to read the New Testament for the first time. He was trained in Orthodox Judaism, and he spent many hours each day probing the Talmud. The Talmud, for those of you who don't know, is Tanakh is the scriptures, the Jewish scriptures. Talmud is an expounding of the Jewish scriptures. So that's what Talmud is. We were deeply immersed in the timeless works and commentaries penned by the sages, the giants of the Torah world. Okay. When he first read the Christian Bible, he thought it was his duty as a Jew to read the Christian Bible to see what the Christians were saying and find out why Jews were leaving Judaism for Christianity. Which, by the way, I don't look. I don't approve of anybody trying to proselytize anybody. If you want to worship a god or gods, I don't give a fuck. Worship any god you want. I don't really give a fuck. Just don't go out proselytizing, trying to, shove it down other people's throats. That's not. Hey, Limited. That's okay. Don't forget to vote if you haven't voted already. So anyway, that's what people have against Christians. We don't have a thing against Christians because you're Christians. Get that out of your fucking mind, okay? Get that out of your fucking mind. We don't have a problem with you being Christian. We have a problem with you trying to shove it down other people's throats. That's what we have a fucking problem with. All right. He believed he had a calling. That's his Jews for Judaism ministry. Bringing back Jews into the fold. And then he keeps asking himself, how can he bring them back to Judaism because they've been so brainwashed by Christianity, which is one of their tricks. They love brainwashing people. It's the only way they can get people in nowadays is to brainwash them. Okay. So he talks about, well, he's looked at the New Testament, right? But he also needs to look at the church teachings. He not only needs to look at what the New Testament teaches, he needs to look at, the non-canons. Things like St. Augustine, Martin Luther King, those people, because Jews aren't the only ones that have non-canonical things going on. So and forgive me for stopping every few minutes here, because like I said, I think I need bifocals. Getting old, people. Getting old. Okay, he says that the Christian elaborate worship rituals resemble nothing found in Torah, which is true. I mean, it is true. He talks about how could the Jews not know that it was forbidden to worship any graven images. Being a Christian until I left for Wicca and then left for atheism, not quite sure what he gets there. Maybe he's talking about the cross, because there tends to be a lot of crosses in churches, in Christian churches, which might be considered a graven image. So, all right. So, anyway, he still remembers peeking. This is 30 years ago, by the way. He still remembers peeking into a local church when he was a child. It was the first time he ever looked inside. He must have been about 8, he says. It was a Catholic church. And of course, he was curious, which, I mean, fine. All children are curious, right? Let's see. He was curious about what went on in there. From where he stood on the sidewalk, he could see statues, icons, crosses, and an altar. Yeah, I mean, the Catholics do have things like crucifixes, and most of them have a statue of Mary, and they do have an altar where the quote unquote transubstantiation happens. So yeah, I have been inside a Catholic church a few times. I've gone to a Catholic church. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I? I'm a curious cat. Okay. So he wanted to know how normal people could believe this. Well, Rabbi, you know what? I am right up there with you. I am right up there with you. Even though I grew up in this shit, you know, After I got out of it, yeah, after I got out of all the brainwashing, yeah, I'm like, how did I ever buy this shit? But if you grow up in it, it doesn't sound all that weird. I mean, it sounds awful now looking back on it, but it doesn't really sound all that weird when you're growing up in it. You just, you know, this is how things are. That's basically, that's basically how you think of things. This is how things are, and I can't do anything about it. So, anyway, um, he was shocked by the conflicts between Jesus and the Pharisees, the bitter confrontations that are portrayed in the Gospels. Not surprised that Jesus was portrayed as the winner of all these heated debates. Of course not. Jesus is the hero of the New Testament. Why would you be surprised at that? After all, the Christian Bible was not going to cast Jesus as the loser. He was unprepared to discover that the theological construction of these arguments could be fully understood only by those familiar with Talmudic literature, which had not yet been recorded in writing during the first century. The New Testament incorporated the oral law into its narrative during a period when the oral law was still only transmitted verbally. Now, this is interesting because I did not know this. I did not know that at this point in history, the oral law had not been written down. So that's, and he points out that Jesus' debates are incomprehensible unless you have a framework of the Jewish oral tradition, meaning not only the Torah, not only the Talmud, but also the Tanakh. The Torah, the Tanakh, and the Talmud. So you got to have that framework, or else you're not going to understand anything about Jesus, thingies. I know you love I don't know how else to describe it. His wrath, I guess you could say. I don't know. Critics of rabbinic Judaism, which is what missionaries call Judaism, they call it rabbinic Judaism. Like, that's supposed to be some kind of a jab at Judaism. Not quite sure. But yeah, I mean, Christians saying rabbinic Judaism is not a jab at the Jews. It's just not. I mean, that's like trying to jab at me, calling me a liberal. Ain't gonna work. Okay, the New Testament was written in the first century. It does question the veracity of the Jewish oral traditions and must answer the following questions. Relying on the written law, on what basis is it forbidden to cause a bloodletting wound on the Sabbath? Um, we're talking about medical issues and so on and so forth with this. The New Testament did set up Jesus as against the Pharisees, but the book of John and other Gospels sought to portray Jesus as one who had mastered the Pharisaic law more than his interlocutors had, and taught in accordance with rabbinic authority. So we've got, we got a really hard thing going here. They want to say, well, Jesus knows more about the law than anybody else, because they want to say he's the Son of God, which maybe we'll get to. Who knows? But the Son of God, okay, in and of itself, the Son of God is a pagan idea. Now, in the Jewish tradition, Son of God refers to a king, whereas Son of Man refers to a prophet. That's in the Jewish tradition. But Jesus being the Son of God comes from pagan traditions. We're talking about things like Hercules, where Zeus, has sex with a human woman and spawns Hercules. It's just thoroughly pagan. Okay. So I think I'm going to stop it right there. It's getting really, really dark outside. And I don't have the money to put my lights on. I can run my computer or I can run my light, but I can't run both. So anyway, like I said, don't forget to vote if you haven't voted already. I may be on later tonight. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe not. At any rate, save our democracy, save our freedoms. I will see you guys later, and have a nice night. Bye.